Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today my goal is to explain the AIM-7 Sparrow to you, because I noticed that there's a lot of people who don't actually know how that thing works who either have wrong misconceptions or just are outright false. I noticed this a little trend in the DCS and also in the War Thunder communities, where people complain about Sparrows or ask if either game is more accurate. Right now, it's the 23rd of March 2022. The Sparrow is better modeled in War Thunder. I can assure you that. Now, this video is going to give you a rough functional description of the missile. My sources that I am going to use are, first of all, the Tactical Manual Navy Model F4B, F4J and F4 on aircraft from the 1st of September 1972. And for the description of the Autopilot, I am going to use Standard Aircraft Characteristics Guided Missile Model AAM-6 Sparrow 3. The AAM-6 is the AIM-7C model, or would be the AIM-7C after the rename. So, first of all, what we need to know is we have a missile. Oh no, let me make this a box. This is a little easier. According to this document, the standard missile characteristics, the missile has two antennas. Here's the target and here's our start, so the missile is obviously looking forward. The first antenna is the main one that everybody knows about. This one picks up radar returns from the target. However, there's a second antenna in the Sparrow. It's pointing to the rear. This antenna is there to pick up the returns from the illuminating radar. Make it a little thicker, the line. So, and then we have like the Autopilot here that does all the calculations. And they are both connected. And then in the Autopilot things happen. I will come to this later. Now we have a target, right? Here, this is our target. I know it's really ugly, but I'm not here to win art contests. And we have our let's do something else. Here, this is our illuminating radar. And this radar illuminates everything in a 10-degree cone. Yeah, this is 10 degrees, clearly. So that's the Sparrow. Oh wait, I didn't fully close this line here. That's embarrassing. Okay, so that the Sparrow sits in this flux of radar radiation. The illuminating radar is a continuous wave radar. So it is pretty much just like a flashlight. It is constantly on. It doesn't strobe, it doesn't pulse. It is really just a constantly turned on source of radar radiation. It's very similar to what you would have inside your microwave. Unlike the function of the search radar or the tracking radar that both are pulsing to get range information. The continuous wave illuminator doesn't need that. So, the missile is in this flux of radar radiation. And it's picking up with the rear antenna this flux. So it knows the frequency of the original signal. So let's draw this like, I don't know, this is like the frequency of the original signal. Now, the second information that it gets is the returning radiation. Now, because the target is moving at us at a fairly high speed, we are going to, I'm gonna use yellow for that. Oh no, yellow is not really easy to see. I use orange. Orange is a nice color. Oh wait, no, when it's moving towards us, I use blue because it blue shifts. So the radiation is coming back at the missile. From the target. Right. Let us make this proper. Because obviously the original signal is usually much stronger, so it well, no, let's not fill it out. This is really just like this. And the returning signal has a much higher frequency. So it is more like this, you know? Now what happens in the autopilot of the Sparrow when it picks up both signals is it compares them. And in places where the seeker looks towards the direction of the target, then the resulting signal, I'm gonna use red for that because this is our tracking signal, would look like this. Let's say here the seeker is looking away from the target. You know what, let's actually make this graph properly. So first of all, these are out of phase, and let's say the seeker is scanning in like this direction, and it's like turning. This is how a conical scan seeker works. Now, what happens is, let's say in this point, so about halfway through, it picks up the return of the aircraft, and then when it turns away, the return of the enemy aircraft goes away. So what we have here would be the inverse of the original signal. This is like all ground clutter and stuff. And then suddenly, when it looks at the enemy aircraft, because of the shift of the frequency goes up for a second. And then it inverses. So this is not perfect. Now what the autopilot does is compares those signals and interferes and has like a basic interference with them. So that the resulting signal looks something like this. And then we have a spike where the target is. Because, well, they don't interfere clearly. This is full destructive interference. It cancels all out, so everything that is not moving cancels out. It is ignored from the speed gate of the seeker. And then let's say we have also here like a little dip down and then like this. So the missile now knows that because of this, that in this direction there's the target, because it is roughly halfway through the scan, right? And this is how the Sparrow works. Now what happens when you have multiple targets? Let's say we add another target. Let's expand our drawing. I know we can actually do this without expanding. Drawing. Let's first of all delete the red line again, because we have a new case. No. No, let's just make a new box. This is now the box for 2 targets. 2 targets. And let's also make a second target egg that is, however, further away. And maybe at a lower velocity. This is all green. It's still like in the target flux. And we have a slower target further away. Alright. Now in the scan pattern of the missile. Oh shit, no, I wanted to make a line. It would be around here. So like in the first, so we have basic signal, first signal, second signal, and then so. This would look roughly so we have like still the original signal. I'm gonna make it a higher frequency because I need to have it a little more accurate. So this is our original signal. And then the inverse or the returning signal is something like this. So here would be the first target. Let's make it like whoop. And then let's say here's the second target. So we have now 2 returns along the scan pattern of the missile. Now when we interfere this, obviously here these are equal, they cancel out. Then we have a blip here. And we would then have another cancellation. Then we have another blip here. And so. However, I want to... no, it's not quite there like that. It's more like... This is our small blip. And this is our big blip. So this is more accurate. Okay. Now because... obviously the missile tries to track the missile would try to track both of them at the same time. However, because this blip here is smaller than this one here, the missile is going to gravitate more towards this here. So what it would do is it would try to track both, and because this one is closer and more faster, the missile is then going to fly like this, kind of, maybe. I'm not quite 100% sure how that would actually look like in real life. Pretty much. The Sparrow tries to go for the strongest radar return, for the best radar return. Now, to reiterate, so that everyone is like on the same page on this. The Sparrow has 2 antennas. The rear antenna is to pick up the original radar signal from the launching aircraft. The front antenna is a scanning antenna. On the early models it is a basic conical scan seeker, so it is literally just a basic parabolic antenna that, however, is on a slight angle mounted on a electrical motor. So like when we look from here at it, this is our like total scan circle area, and this here is like the area that the antenna is circling, and this circle is moving around this axis here. This is conical scanning. And this is also what I mean with this here. This is like going along the conical scan pattern. Later Sparrow models made this whole system, because this needs moving parts, made the whole system a lot more simple. They just mounted a bunch of smaller antennas in like a cluster, and then just connect them, put the signals through like a computer, and then the information for the direction goes into the autopilot, and then the autopilot is fed with the rear antenna. This cluster looks kind of like, I mean, it's I think 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 5 antennas. And because they're oriented in that way, you are able to, let's say we have a signal coming from here. So this antenna picks the signal up, and this antenna picks the signal up. And the distance between those, this distance here, let's call it L for length, right? Using the speed of light, you can then measure this, the time difference that it takes for the signal to reach both antennas, and then this unit here calculates the direction that comes from. It is way more accurate, it is instantaneous, and the whole guidance method becomes a lot better. It makes the missiles a lot more reliable. So this is early Sparrows, this is late Sparrows. Yeah, when we have multiple targets. Oh wait, I should maybe start again. I went on a tangent. I'm sorry. So rear antenna picks up original signal. Front antenna, either being conical scan or inverse monopoles, picks up the reflected signal. Both signals then get compared in the autopilot using destructive interference or constructive interference. It depends on how the signals look. And because the target is moving towards the Sparrow and it has a velocity over the ground, it is going to be the ground is going to be filtered out, because the ground return equals the original signal. However, everything that is moving does not equal the original signal, so we're going to have blips in the autopilot, and the autopilot is going to track these blips. This is a very rough explanation on how the AIM-7 works. There's a lot more details to that, obviously, but this is the very rough explanation. What does this mean for you? Well, there's this myth out there that you can fire Sparrows into a dogfight, into a furball, and just hit the guy that you are actually tracking with your radar, because, well, it is semi-active radar homing, it just goes for your radar. This is not true. This is, I cannot stress this enough. This is not true. The Sparrow has no way of knowing which of these two guys. Let's say this is our friendly, right? And this is an enemy. The friendly, in this case, would have a better radar return than the enemy, even though our main radar has like a track on the enemy. Oh wait, I don't want to. No filling here. Has a track on the enemy. The continuous wave illuminator is so large that the friendly is still in the return, meaning in this case the friendly has the better return and the Sparrow will go for him. It is very much the guidance logic of the Sparrow is very close to the AMRAAM. They are very similar. In fact, the AIM-7B, the second version of the Sparrow, actually had an active radar homing seeker in it. It was the very first active radar homing missile in the world, and around the late 50s. So yeah, don't confuse this notion, oh yeah, I can fire the Sparrow into a furball because it just goes for my little green box on my hut or in War Thunder around the enemy. No, it just looks for radar returns, compares them to the original signal, and it goes for the strongest return. And when the friendly is the strongest return, you're going to hit your friendlies. Anyway, I hope you very much enjoyed this video. I think I'm gonna make more of these. This unscripted type is fairly easy for me to do, because it requires not much editing. And we see us in the next one. Have a great day.